Hey guys, this is going to be the first part of what I plan to make a little series of different videos on the whole process that I did to make my LED headlights. This first part is going to be just baking the headlights and getting them apart. Pretty simple, it's only going to take a couple minutes. It's been something I've been meaning to do for a while, just haven't had the time or energy to really get around it. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that out tonight. Before I start, I do want to give a quick thank you to all the guys that did pay me to do their headlights for them. I was unemployed at the time. The project that I picked up, and without those guys that did pay me to do their lights, I wouldn't have been able to pay my car payment in that period of time. So thank you guys. Alright, first thing you're going to want to do is clean up your headlights and remove all the bulbs. Take the headlight bulbs and the turn signals out. Other than that, that's about all the prep you really need to do. You want to make sure you get as much of the gunk off the lenses as you can. Once it does go through the oven, it literally gets baked on and gets pretty difficult to remove. Once you got your headlights cleaned and your bulbs taken out, this is the temperature I do mine, 225. You can go ahead and lower the racks, give yourself a good bit of room, make sure you can fit a headlight in there. Alright, our oven is preheated, you can see that it's at 225. I'm going to go ahead and pop the first headlight in. Just right there and on the rack, make sure it's not touching any of the sides of your oven. I'll go ahead and set my timer for 9 minutes. This is how long I do mine. You may need to do it a little bit longer if it's your first time especially. I have done this quite a few times, so I tend to get them apart pretty quick. Alright, my timer is about to go off for my first headlight. I would suggest that you wear gloves for this part, as they're going to be a little bit hot when they come out. Only thing you really need for this process is a small flat tip screwdriver, and I use a butter knife. Simple, it works. Same time I pull the first headlight out, I'm going to pop my second headlight in the oven and set the timer. I would suggest, if this is your first time, that you don't do that, just in case you have any issues getting the first one apart. Alright, the easiest way to get this thing apart is to start at a corner, either this corner or up here. I usually start up here. I found it's a little bit easier. I usually start with the butter knife, just kind of slide it in on the edge right there to break that initial seal. I do the whole length of the top with the butter knife to break the seal up there. Turn it on its side and do the same thing. Just run your butter knife in that groove. And up there in the corner, kind of work it around in there. You're going to pull out your small flat tip and go under there and pry up real slow. You'll see it or feel it start to pull out of the adhesive. And you can see there we're starting to come apart. Once you get this corner open, you can literally just pull them apart. Do it real slow, take your time, so you don't break the lens or the back housing. Once you get down to this end, you have a little plastic clip. Just pop that up and keep pulling. Pull around the corner. You get another clip here. Pop that. Remember to pull slow, so you don't want to break anything. And another clip down here. And that's really all there is to it. I know I have done this probably a couple dozen times, so I have gotten pretty good at it. Don't get discouraged if you have a little bit of problems or it doesn't seem as easy as I make it look. All right, from here, my bezel just came right out. You may need to put a little bit of force behind it. It may be sunk down into the headlight housing. One thing I do at this point, see, it took me all of 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. I still have 7 minutes on my timer for my other headlight. During this time, I deal with my reflectors. I'm not a fan of the reflectors. I believe I only did one headlight build that actually wanted the reflectors in, so this is how I take my reflectors off. I'll leave you sometimes with the little orange pieces in here. Just take your screwdriver and pop those out. And that is our first light baked, and I'm still at 6 minutes on my timer. Alright, while we're waiting on that other light, I'm going to show you another part of what I did. This step is more or less optional, but this is how I preferred to do it. When I did mine, I cleaned out all this factory sealant out of this groove. It is a bit time consuming. Even after I'd done a couple dozen sets, it was still taking me about a half hour to get it all out of both headlights. The end result, though, is you don't have to bake them back together, and if you ever need to take them apart again for any reason, it's a whole lot easier. Alright, what you're going to want to do to pull this sealant out is kind of try to start at a big piece like this. You see how it's kind of pushed out. You may not have anything like this, but if you do, you're lucky because it makes it a little bit easier to start. Starting is the most difficult part of this. You kind of want to pry under it and break it a little bit. You just pry your screwdriver in there and pull it up. And pull slow and keep prying as you pull back. Take it real slow. Once you get a good chunk of it, you can see you can just peel it out. If it starts to rip, just go behind it with your screwdriver and scrape up the ripped piece. And just kind of push it forward until you can grab onto it again. It's at the right temperature now. It's warm enough that it's not solid, but it's cool enough that it's not breaking apart. Pull real slow. Yeah, it'll break off sometimes. Like I said, this is a time-consuming process, but in the end, you'll end up with a nice clean groove like this that you can fill with sealant and just end up with a better seal. Alright, my timer just went off for my second headlight. I'm about to pull that out right now. When you first pull them out, don't pull them out by the mounting tabs. The mounting tabs, they will heat up and they will start to melt a little bit. If you grab it wrong, you can break that tab off completely. Alright, again, I'm going to start with my butter knife. Just push it into the edge right there. And slide it up towards the corner to break the seal. This will take some pressure. Just make sure it stays flat like that in that little groove right there, and you're not digging down into the lens itself. Alright, broke the seal up a little bit. And dig in around that corner. As you can see, get the screwdriver up under the lens. And it's going to pull this corner out a little bit, but that's okay. You just want to pry up slowly with your screwdriver. Move it down a little bit. Make sure you get that end of the screwdriver under the lens. You don't want to be just prying into the lens and end up cracking it. Alright, so we got it nice and separated along right here. And grab this corner and this corner and just pull it apart. Make sure you pull slow so you don't break anything. You'll feel the adhesive separating again. Alright, tab down here. Oh, the camera's going a little out of focus. And there is our second light baked open. So you can see it doesn't take a whole lot. If at first you don't succeed, reheat for a couple of minutes and try again. So I say if it's your first time, I wouldn't put that second headlight in the oven until you get the first one apart. Just be careful, take your time. This one a little bit stuck, just give it a nice pull, not too hard, you don't want to break the tabs on the bottom. You know, the key here is kind of firm but gentle. If for whatever reason you do want to keep the reflector to put it back on after you paint your housings, you're just going to take your screwdriver You're going to pop these little tabs out right here. Best way to do it, I don't know if you can see that, is to pry it gently up on that silver part and pull the reflector in from the outside, or pull the reflector from the outside. Again, in this case, gentle, very gentle, because these reflectors break extremely easily. There you have an intact reflector with no broken tabs that will pop right back on when you go to put your headlights back together. Alright, we got both headlights baked apart. That is the end of this portion. In the next portion I'll cover prepping the headlight bezels, drilling out the dimples for the LEDs, and a little bit of painting. And then we'll move on to LED install and wiring, and then finally sealing them up. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the rest.